Justice League issue 12. James Tynion the Fourth is writing, with Fraser Irving and Bruno Redondo on the art. I will say this is a kind of a weird middle issue of Justice League. I was actually surprised when I saw that Tynion wrote this one, because I didn't realize till after I'd finished it that it was him. Because as I was reading it, I was like, this is the Snyder exposition issue in the middle that I usually don't like that much. And that's what it felt like. And then the weird thing is, Fraser Irving is a fantastic artist. His pages are mostly gorgeous. I do have one critique. I'm not a big fan of the cutout heads that are sometimes floating around. But his art is this otherworldly thing, and it's cool. But it's so different to the other art in the book that it's kind of distracting. And then the bigger problem I have, though, is that at least at first I thought, okay, so we're in the land of the graveyard of the gods, right? The god's graveyard.
So that's why it's so different.
That's why it's different. It's very ethereal, because he has a very almost like magical, otherworldly kind of look to his art, right? Perfect. However, by the end of the issue, regular scenes with Flash and Superman and that are also taking place in Fraser Irving art, and it has no. It's like, wait, what? There's no rules now. You're just flipping between them.
I thought, for a while in the issue, I thought, all right, Irving's doing the Wonder Woman, Aquaman stuff in the graveyard of the gods.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that. It's a good solid reason for a distinctive art shift.
Right.
It's arguably maybe too jarring. That's fair.
It is a bit too jarring. Do you know I think my big problem though is why I think it was jarring is because we first seen this place last issue and it wasn't Irving on art.
And
if it was Irving in last issue when they introduced the Graveyard of Gods, I'd be okay with it.
No, I get that. But at least in issue, there's a reason for having the dual artists for most of the issue.
Until.
And then it just goes, we're running out of time. Irving, do more.
Irving, just do all the pages from the last, 6 or 7.
Yeah. Which is kind of weird because I think Irving's art is better. I prefer to read that.
Yeah.
But it's frustrating in that it abandons its structure.
It's so weird.
So people were talking about this was the exposition issue, and usually that's kind of annoying because it's like dialogue on top of boxes, but I liked what the exposition was here. I liked what it set up with the different gods and how. So
because the big reveal is that basically Poseidon, Arion didn't want to fight the other gods, and the other gods weren't hostile at first. Arion wanted to invite everyone to share in this power that was unique to Earth, that would connect life.
So Earth, this goes back to the John's run and the whole. I like we got at the end of the first arc of Justice League, the whole life, right? They harness the power of the white. That it started with there too, is that somehow life as we know it started on Earth, and that's what makes it the center of the multiverse and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
And here it goes back to that life as we know it and how it's so different was meant to be an inspiration to other planets. And Arion was all about that.
Yeah, he wants to share it. He wants to invite them and bask in it. And everyone
come and see what we're all about. And then Poseidon is kind of like, wait, no, this is mine. That's what makes us special. We don't share it. So he ends up corrupting that power. And it ends up corrupting these.
He convinces Arion that they're a threat, and that's what sets us down this path of imprisoning them.
Yep.
And as Poseidon himself admits, he basically turned them into the hostile threats that he thought they were in the first place by doing this for, eons and eons of time. So it's interesting. No, I mean, I like that swerve in it.
I really like most of the exposition. There's the points that I really dislike are when the exposition is explaining stuff in the art.
Yeah.
There's a bit towards the end where Mira has a sword and she's, attacking. And then you just get Flash's head. It's like, oh, wow, Mira killed it. The floodwaters are retreating. And the creature's with it. It's like, yeah, I know. I just read that. I just saw that happen.
Yeah. The one that got me is there was Arion there with two other, right? Two other beings.
The flashback bit.
Yeah, in the flashback. And at first I thought they were meant to be the sea gods that had come. But then I was like, oh no, this is...
No, I think they're like his sidekicks almost.
Atlanteans, right?
Yeah.
And then I was getting Trinity vibes. This is like Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. And then that they don't ever get brought up. I feel like that art...
I do feel like that is... they're ripe for exploration later. This trio.
See, I don't know though. I feel like there was a miscommunication with the art. I feel like at first there were these characters, and then they're like, oh, we don't have time to get into these characters.
And it's just
So-
supposed to be
they're just
other
kinda
high-ranking
there helping you out.
Atlanteans of the time, maybe.
Yeah.
Some of
Yeah.
them going
So,
forward.
but I just felt like with what's been going on with the whole Doom and Justice, and like this is kind of always the cycle, right? You know, I felt like that was prime for the picking with what was going on with Arion, you know? But
Yeah. So no, I mean the art is gorgeous still when Irving's doing it. Like the stuff with Mira with a sword, the stuff with Wonder Woman as well.
Demonic Flash.
Demonic Flash. The cloudy kind of otherworldly feel that it has is just gorgeous, and you know, it has atmosphere, which is the thing I like the most about it. It's just a shame that it's just cutting back and forth, and it feels kind of jarring in the changes.
yeah, it's very uneven.
Meanwhile, Batman's in an old Lexo suit, taking
is
on the Legion of
fantastic.
Doom. He's like, I'm going to kick all your asses without any arms or legs
Yes.
because Batman.
Drop the effing doorknob and step away from the totality.
Yeah. So, and I like what I did with the God stuff too, with Cheetah, and I liked how she was like, you know, these are some like pretty cool artifacts. I don't want to destroy them. Like the archaeologist in me, you know.
Yeah.
Like they're just kind of like, don't mind that, Cheetah. It's all for a purpose.
So basically,
Also, I like
I think that the most important part is the final line is surely the title of this episode.
Well, before we get to the final layer, I just want to mention Mira does get the teardrop of extinction from Arion's bones, which, when put on her sword, is what starts to
Kills
win the
them all.
fight. It's what beats the flood back. So they're kind of starting to lose. You know, the gods are now worried. They're retreating, and that's when Black Manta says, "I can feel the death kraken. Let's raise the death kraken."
Yeah, really. So we also didn't get into really what Wonder Woman and Aquaman were doing, and like Poseidon attacks Aquaman, and it was just like, oh well.
Yeah, that was the end of
Basically,
last
the end
issue.
of the last issue was immune.
Right, but then of course it's not. It's exactly what we thought it was. Is he was doing that to see if Aquaman was strong enough?
In terms of plot, this might be my biggest complaint, is that cliffhanger is a complete cop out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big
Because
time. But
he
we
wasn't
kinda
just
knew
hit;
that, though. We
he was
talked about that last week.
impaled. He was impaled with a trident.
He was impaled, but Poseidon thought that if he still had all his powers, this would make him even stronger for some reason.
Which I love that Wonder Woman points that out too. She's like, yeah, so like somehow being stabbed makes you stronger. I don't get it.
Like I get magical trident and all that, sure, but
Yeah.
you really
Yeah.
have to stab
You
him
know,
with it.
But so him not having his powers, I don't know if this is going to be a thing going forward. Like, is he going to reclaim them from Black Manta?
He'll get him back by the end of this story.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like, but yeah, so they're in Black Manta, and I still don't. It's just one of those things. Like I don't get it.
But I mean,
Like,
I
it's
don't
okay.
think he will be. But I'd hope that Fraser Irving was doing the art for the next issue, because that final page with the Kraken just being teased
Death
through
Kraken.
the water,
Oh, I know. Just
it's beautiful. For
So-
all the faults that I can
It's-
levy at this book, that final page is gorgeous, and it's the best
But-
moment of the book.
the problem is Irving's art is fantastic throughout. It's just like the page where Poseidon's like sacrificing himself to let them out is
Yeah.
gorgeous. It's just it feels jarring in comparison
So-
with everything else.
Here's my question, storyline wise, is are they going to kill the sea gods, or is Mira going to do something with the tier of extinction in the water that's going to wash away their corruption?
I feel like it might be a bit of like once Superman, for example, learns that this was the truth of what happened to them in the
Right.
past, he's not going to want to kill them.
Yeah.
No.
No, I
He
think
won't want to kill them, period. But I just feel like if they kill them, it just leads to
I feel
Luther
like
winning more.
they'll be making
know?
peace and somehow with them.
Yeah.
By
Yeah.
the end, they'll send them back to their own worlds with maybe the power they wanted in the first place.
Send them off with the trident.
Yeah.
Right.
So
and
hey.
because remember that this was all supposed to be Luther discovering Doom before, right? Because we had that whole issue of him going to the future, and you know, so I feel like if they can go and spread life through, you know, that thwarts him a little bit more. Then he starts to get more desperate. you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, so going back to what I said about too much exposition, it was just some of the pages, especially early on in the book, felt really like just clunky with too much boxes, too much dialogue, too much narration.
I had to reread a couple pages.
It definitely eased up as it went on.
You did.
And I found the Irving stuff was a lot less cluttered in terms of just they didn't put as many boxes over.
It was because they said this art's too good, we're not covering it up. So
they made the right choice.
Yes, they did. They did. So it got better as it went along, but the early issue was kind of bugging me how
Yes.
like, it was taking me like 3 times as long to read one of the pages compared to normal.
Yeah,
because it was just so
I
packed.
get that. But also released the Death Kraken.
Release the Death Kraken, yes. Because actually, one of the things with the art is that, again, going back to how it broke its system of, okay, the stuff in the Graveyard of the Gods is the Irving stuff and the other stuff's not. So early on we see Black Manta in the regular art, and then we see it in the Irving art towards the end, and I went, this looks like a completely different character in Irving's art. Like, this is a completely different shape of helmet, this is a completely different Black Manta. Just to emphasise how big the difference was between the two.
Yeah.
But hey, so we'll rate Justice League. Matt, what are you giving it?
This is a 7.5. Just with the exposition, I liked a lot of it, what it was, but it was clunky at the beginning. And then like the inconsistencies with the art too. But I still overall enjoyed it.
Connor?
I agree with the 7.5. If it had been a neat split with Irving's stuff, that would probably have pushed it up. But it being distracting that it ruined its structure.
Yeah, I will also concur with the 7.5. I honestly, see if this was all Irving, and some of the clunkiness and the overwritten stuff was taken out, this could have been like a 9.5 for me. See if you look at just those last couple of pages on their own, it's like that feels at the ending of like a 9 or something.
It does, yeah.
But the start.
Yeah, so I like a lot of the content, but it was how it was presented is what jumbles it up.